Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Daniel Diagnosis. I'm your host, Keith Daniel, and you already know what we do around here at the Daniel Diagnosis. We try to diagnose the everyday nonsense that we go through and make sense of it all. How do we do it? By shedding light and spreading love. Now, I hope everybody out there being safe, productive, and blessed. But you already know how we got to do it around here. We got to get some high vibrational frequencies going. So give me about 30 seconds and we'll get right back to it. See you on the flip side.
I got a purpose, I'm worth it, dog. Been looking for myself, yeah, I was searching, dog. And then I found myself, and I knew that I didn't need no one's help. As I grow old, I go deeper in my soul, and I am what I am. I only know what I know, and I'm smart enough to know I really don't know shit. If I don't know nothing, I bet I know this.
What it do, good people? Welcome back to another episode of the Daniel Diagnosis. Once again, I am your host, Keith Daniel. We're going to jump right into it. This is part 3 of our, I keep on saying conversation, but my diagnosis with Rod Hayes. I would love to have a conversation with him. You know what I mean? Straight up, I would. You know, I don't know. It like, you know how you hear certain things and you gravitate to certain things. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it is with when I hear him talk, when I hear him speak. And then what he's saying, I can relate to so much because I've researched a lot of it. And so it's just the correspondence. Like, everybody have their audience. You see what I'm saying? So, and if you know what you know, and you know who you are, and you in tune with a certain frequency, then you know your purpose, you know your job. And if you knowing that, you gonna get out here and do it. And he gonna touch who we supposed to touch. I'm gonna touch who I supposed to touch. Whoever in a position that's at the table and not on the menu, they're gonna do what they're supposed to do if they are acting accordingly and being fully aware of what they're doing. You know what I mean? So that's what's going on. Each one teach one. Straight up. We're very far past the situation where we're keeping anything away from anybody. Like, nah, man, we're at a point where people just don't want to know nothing. You see what I'm saying? That's where we at. And that's a problem. When you get to a point where people don't want to know, that's an issue. And so, you know, that's where the real work begins. You know what I mean? So with that being said, man, you know, we're going to go on to get into this part 3. And we might just ride it out. You know what I mean? I'm feeling pretty good this evening. We might just ride it out. Let's see how it goes. That being said, man, I ain't going to be too wordy on the situation at all. We're going to get to it. And of course, if you're just tuning in, I need you to hit the subscription button, man. Like the videos if you digging what's going on right here. You know what I mean? Feel free to leave comments. See what I'm saying? Just straight up. Give me some other, if you know other scholars out here or other channels or other prophets out here that's doing what they do and communicating wise words to the people. I ain't talking about all the foolishness now. I'm talking about wise words minus the foolishness. Send them my way. You know what I mean? I got videos with Bobby Hemmett, you know what I mean, that I'm going to diagnose some of the stuff that Bobby Hemmett was talking about. Bless the elder or the ancestor. Brother Ben. I'd love to have a conversation with Brother James Small. This is just metaphysical stuff that's not being taught to us to a degree. You see what I'm saying? I think that if we had these type of teachings, we would have a better understanding of what the purpose was as far as our people. You know what I mean? But I'm going to get off my soapbox and we finna get into the Rod Hayes video. Let's go.
And so if you ask somebody who you are directly, what do you want and where do you come from? And you understand mentally that tying that to your heart center, they cannot, by the rules of this universe, use deception and mislead you. Our problem is we normally just stop with asking them their name. What's your name? That's not who they are. And so when you look in your New Testament biblical description and they asked the demon, who are you? He said, we are legion, for we are many. They had identified that they were a whole bunch of demons, but demon mean like gods and spirits. And he had to tell them that there was a lot of them. So he couldn't tell them where all of them came from. But at that point, when they cannot give you a full answer, you have two options. You can tell them to flee, and they have to flee according to the universal rules. So you hear like an artist like Tupac say that once you get an understanding in the rules of the game, then the whole game is like a trick. It's like a game to be played. This is what
I share rules. I share the rules to the game. Now, how he said, I got the rules to the game. Man, I'll share with you too. No, niggas gonna hate you for whatever you do. Now, rule 1, keep your cash on, MOB. That's money over bitches because they breed in V. Now, rule 2, it's a hard one. Watch your homies. Keep your enemy close, nigga. Watch your homies. Seemed a little unimportant when he told me I smiled. Picture jewels being handed to an innocent child. Picture jewels being handed to an innocent child. The jewels were the keys to the game. Those rules to the game. Because there's rules to it. See, a lot of us are out here being NPCs, non-player characters. You don't even know it. Because you're just going along with the flow on how the game was programmed. You're not Super Mario. You're not Luigi. You know what I mean? You're not, what the mushroom was, Yeshi? Yeah, you're not that. You see what I'm saying? Like, you're a non-player character. And in being a non-player character, you just go along with the go along. Get up, go to work, buy something to eat, come home, do your hobby, go to bed, repeat. See what I'm saying? It's crazy, but it's just what it is. Let's proceed.
What are you talking about? Because if a man, right, go back to this beginning. What is the man's job? The man's only job is to be responsible. His only job is to be responsible. From the beginning, man had responsibility. He got responsibility as a ruler god. Now, the woman had a different function than the man, though her responsibilities are rooted in what she is, the mother. So now, if the man is being responsible and the woman is being the mother, the woman is keeping everything stable and balanced, and the man is covering the outside, the perimeter. He's the point man. So anybody that's been to the military know what the point man is. He goes out, he makes a way for the family to progress and to function most effectively. It's like
all my lions pay attention because that's how lions operate. I know I said this in part 2, so we might be covering old material, but it's fine. Redundancy is cool on this because you need to get it. You see what I'm saying? But that's how lions operate. Females stay at home, she tend to the den. The lion is on the perimeter. See what I'm saying? Let's proceed.
Like a little contingent on the battlefield where they send the point man out. So when they exploded the collider, trapped you into this 3D rebirth cycle, that was not the doing of the ones who failed. They were trapped by science, spirit science, because you have to know how the spirit works. In the spiritual dimensions work like music. As the music scale goes up, it goes up in a spiral. That's called the music scale. It's the same way with the dimensions. So when you at the fourth,
you know, like octaves, like I know I fucked up on the but it don't matter. You get what I'm saying? The those are the octaves. So everything go up. Your chakras go up like that as well. It's everything is frequency and vibration, people. Everything. Let the man
in the third dimension, it's a spiraling effect.
Second.
And this is how they trap us in the cycles. They trap us in the cycles. That's why if you see a guy with a certain type of female. He always picked the same type of female that gives him the same type of problem. The reason he's doing that is because he's trapped in that cycle. The cycle is the control mechanism. By running you in a circle, you stay confused. By staying confused, you cannot break free. So then time goes on, no more ammo telling them to avoid the projectile weapons, right? Now, they knowing that these projectile weapons is coming because as a result of the collider being exploded, it caused a nuclear war on Earth, which was the cause of the last ice age prematurely and for an extended period of time, and it had nothing to do with the dinosaurs. They was already gone from a different, for a different reason, which I'm not going to get into dinosaurs right now because they are irrelevant to how black people got in the condition, because that part of our history was already over. And so when we look at the timeline, we get all the way up to a BC period, and you have a new species of hominid, sapiens sapien, that came from nowhere. Nobody don't know where they came from. And so you hear everybody talking about the Anunnaki, about the Elohim, the different terms, and the problem comes in here. The black people that came with as the children of No More and Amo were what you call guardians of the galaxy. They had a purpose here on Earth. They came here on Earth for a specific purpose. Now, we're going to get to that as we go into what they are. They are reptilian, mammalian hybrids that was first purified in the Sumerian constellational complex. And once they became purified by spiritual processes, what you know on Earth is alchemical processes. This has taught them how to heal the body from the inside out. This becomes important. When you look at Africa now, and they've been saying this for hundreds of years, but everybody's ignoring it. The disease of HIV and AIDS, the African in the deepest interior that haven't even been exposed to it is developing an immunity to that condition. And the reason is they are the guardians, they the cleanup crew. They came ahead of time because of premonition, as you would call it in the psychic realms, clairvoyance. So Amo and Namo lent them to Earth for a purpose, which we're going to get to in a minute. They all agreed to come.
All right, I'm going to stop it right there because I heard Amo and Namo. Amo and Namo comes from the Dogon tribe history. Credo Metua, or Mutua, however you want to pronounce it. He is the elder of the Dogon tribe. And he's been, this information came out a long time ago, but it got real popular like 8 to 10 years ago. That's when I got on it. And he talked about the fish people that came from the sea. And he says that, you know, intelligent life isn't just of this world. Now, when he say world, you know, we can go into so many different fashions about it, because world is also world. That's why they sound so similar. When I say world, I'm talking about like spinning. See, everything's spinning. Rotation, revolution. You see what I'm saying? So when you thinking of that nature, like, and then you say world, and then you say world, you put a D on it. It's the same term. It just got two different meanings. And that's the tricknology of the language. You see what I'm saying? That's why lawyers get paid what they get paid, because they understand the language. Law and lang ain't too far away from being the same word as well. You see what I'm saying? They can understand the language. They understand when you use a term, what this term is actually meant for versus what we think it's meant for. See, if you understand the terms of what's being said in a lot of situations, or you understand how everything is set up, you'll understand when you go in a courtroom, your courtroom is set up just like a boat. Straight up. Because you are being dealt with in admiral law or admiralty law, however they want to put it. It's the law with a C. See, a lot of us don't understand that we're born dead entities. We're born dead at sea. And we get claimed. Man, this shit gets so deep, man. When I tell you seriously, when it get deep, it get deep. You see what I'm saying? And it's just the fact of nefarious groups, small nefarious groups getting together and doing a certain thing. The thing is, like, they had the green light to do it, though. See, we understanding what happened. It's not pointing the finger at who did it. That's my, we got to understand who did it because we got to identify what the issue and what the problem is. But the thing is, to me, is understanding what took place. So when we have a true grasp of what actually happened, then we can ultimately make a rational and informed decision on how, because the what's gonna happen, that ain't up to us. It's already written what's gonna happen. What's up to us is how we choose to handle what's gonna happen. That's the big elephant in the room. And that's why I think it's important for people like Rod Hayes to be out here doing their thing. You see what I'm saying? And I'm just keeping it 100. I like the way he moved to a degree. And I'm not judging the messengers. That's what we got to stop at. You hold these guys on certain standards and certain levels, and we shouldn't. Because they ain't no different than us. I'm no different than you. Don't hold me on no pedestal. I'm telling you, I'm not perfect. The issue is, like, especially, I know I'm sideborn, man. We're gonna get back into the video, but this conscious community, they be taking blows because the game is played in a wicked way. They will humiliate you if you got too much influence, and they can possibly get away with it. You see what I'm saying? If you put yourself in a position to where you have enemies that have that much spite against you to work with these people in order to silence you because you're gaining too much influence. All that happens. It does, seriously speaking. That's where the morals and the ethics really kick in at. See, a lot of us talk about we won't sell out for $1, but you've never been approached with a real amount yet. I'm just keeping it 1,000. You haven't been approached with the right amount of money to make you even contemplate it. The majority of people have not been in that situation. So it's easy for them to say that. It's easy for somebody to say that, man, somebody pull a pistol on me, they're going to have to kill me. You know why? Because they ain't never pulled a pistol on you. You've never had a pistol pulled on you before. So if you haven't been through something, or if you don't know a certain situation, or if you're not a part of something, it's easy for you to talk and say what's going on if you don't have no idea. That's how crazy the imagination is. But see, they teach us to use it for rumors and nonsense like that versus teaching us how to use it to better ourselves and create our future. I believe I said it, so I did it. That type shit. I saw it, I went to it, I conquered it, and now I got it. That type shit. That's imagination, man. Straight up. But we'll rather use our imagination with bogus information that we getting to keep us distracted, and so we can gossip and maintain this same type of bullshit image that they sell us. No, I ain't with that. That's why I'm doing video like this. So I'm gonna get out my soapbox right there, and I'm gonna proceed.
Now, some people say, well, there's no record of us being here or agreeing to this. The record is there. And we're going to all get to see how we was able to look at the timeline from outside of the timeline to figure out where we would enter, the person we would choose to be, and the life we would endure in order to bring out our greatest good in order for this cleanup effort that's been taking place. And so we all chose it. And some of us knew that there's a chance that because of the reincarnation system, we might not wake up in this system and have to come back and keep doing it like the people that's trapped with the silver cord. The whole goal was to break the silver cord cycle so that you can all ascend, because they was trying to trap people and prevent people from ascending. So
Prison planet. Prison planet. You know how many times you die here on that planet before you actually take a physical death? You don't know how many times you done died. A spiritual death before the physical body just leaves. Just straight up. Every time you done gave way to something that you wanted to do, but society said no. Something that you had dear in your heart, but the circumstances said no. Something that you had very high hopes of, but the world said no, because you didn't have enough money. You didn't have this. You didn't have that. That's how they make us think. Since we don't have this, or we're not part of this family, or we're not in these situations, we'll never be able to be this. It's going to be a super hard way. You got to do whatever it takes to get there. Man, that's some bullshit. I'm here to tell you, that's nonsense. You can do whatever you want to do, and the biggest trick they ever pulled on you was to make you think otherwise. Now we talking about cleanup. Yeah, we here playing cleanup. In my profession, I'm a janitor. I'm a janitor. That's what I do. Don't get it twisted. I own my own janitorial company, but I'm a janitor. I clean up behind folk. I see how folk do whatever they do and don't have no thought process about who got to come back and clean this up. I'm going to give you one prime example only, and this going to prove my point. A trash can. If you got a trash can in your room, let's say you got a 55-gallon trash can. That's one of them big gray trash cans with the big round. Sit by yay tall, all right? So you got one of them in your classroom, right? And I ain't talking about nobody. I'm just keeping a spade. Because I know people don't think, and this is the point that I'm trying to prove. This person knows that this trash can, they want this trash can emptied when they get back to work the next day. All right? However, they have excess baggage that they need to dispose of. Now, even though they know someone has to come in and get this trash and take it up to the dumpster or wherever it needs to go to be disposed of, they never thought that everything that they putting in that can is too much for somebody to properly dispose of. It takes super extra effort. It might take breaking down. It might take a whole extra hour if it's enough of this like going on in this facility or whatnot. But if they was at home, get what I'm saying now? If they was at home, They wouldn't load up that trash on themselves like that. So why would you load it up on somebody else that you know gonna have to come back and clean this shit up? See, I was blessed to be in this field because I really understand how it feels. I see it. This is just what it is. And they had a job to do. People have jobs to do. But when they're doing their job, it's rare that they think about the next person doing their job. Unless it so much coincides. And the thing about janitorial work, it's beneath a lot of people. And that's something that it baffles me. Like, how can it be? I know I'm sidebarring like hell, but you gotta let me vent. It cannot be, janitorial work cannot be beneath anyone because honestly, janitorial work is probably in the top 3 functions of any facility. Any facility. I don't care what you're doing. If the building ain't properly clean, morale is going to suck. Period. Don't nobody come to work in facilities that house 50 to a few hundred people or more to work 8 hours and then clean up behind themselves. Think about it. If that janitorial crew ain't right, you got issues every day of that week. The morale is gonna suck from employees, from clients, if it's a school, from their faculty to the students. It's going to suck. So if you don't think that the cleanup part of a situation is one of the most important parts of a situation, you are sadly mistaken, my friend. I'm sorry, but it is.
This leads to a future transgression that hadn't happened in the time that Amo and Namo sent their children here. And so they all knew why they were here subconsciously. And this is why they begin to do what they call the ceremonial reminders. They remind us, each other, of what they went through in the ceremonies, in the rituals. It also tells them why they are here, how long they've been here, and when they would be leaving. All of it is in the Dogon ritual, but you are not initiated into the Dogon tribe as an outsider to get the full measure. So they can't give you the full measure. They only authorized to give you so much. So when you see the stories about the Dogon, they're only authorized to give out so much information, but it's something in their blood that was needed. And this was what they call a healing factor or a recovery factor in the blood of that particular species of reptilian mammalian hybrid. When they came, they had overseers, which are still there overseeing them, because there's only so much that is allowed to be done to them before the full wrath of heaven crashed down on earth and cleaned it up prematurely. Nobody wanted it to be done early because nobody wanted to repeat the misery. And so we have to know where to look to clean up the stories. So
to see it like right there, I ain't gonna sit here and lie, like he went a little bit too deep for me. You see what I'm saying? Now, I ain't saying that, I ain't tracking. I'm picking up what he putting down. It's just the fact that, that's heavy. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's very heavy. Because it start getting into more of you're putting a face on entity. And that's when I think people start getting, hey man, you talking about little small people, you talking about aliens, you talking about this and you talking about that. And I ain't saying that all that ain't true. Because honestly, we have no clue. We don't have any books to study. We can't sit here and just say what they give us right now is law. That's my problem with everything. Where the hell did they get what they got from? Think about what we was taught when we were growing up, my age group, and then think about what they're being taught now. Man, that shit totally fucking different. Period. It's certain things that they ain't being taught about that they need to know about so they won't get duped again. See what I'm saying? That's a problem. You can't just whitewash and bleach everything out so you can repeat the process over. That's the issue. No, let's remember. I want to remember. I like the scars that I got because it helped me remember what I've been through. So I won't repeat the same mistake. And then when my kids ask me, Dad, why you had this or why you weren't here then and this, that, and the third, like I got an explanation. I got a story to tell. My story. It's not a mystery anymore. It's my story. I replaced the E with an O. His story, I don't care about no more. I just need to know about it to the degree so I can fill in the blanks with this information that is falling from the skies right now. This manna. I'm being fed. Everybody can be fed. They think when you talk about manna in the Bible, they thinking about bread and things like, no, man. How else are you gonna do anything with what's the number one thing you gotta have to do anything in the world? Knowledge. Period. You can't talk without it. You can't walk without it. You can't operate without it. You gotta have knowledge of something to do everything. Everything that you do, you got knowledge of doing it. The way you perceive the world, you have knowledge on how to perceive it. Man, let me, boy, hush, Keith. Just be quiet.
When you get to that 10,000 year period, you start to see that there are strange animals being brought from all over the world that had not yet been identified because they were a new species. And the queen has having all of her scientists do various identifications on them, and they are identifying any animal that had not yet been identified. Now, it's only going to be one mammal on the continent of Africa you're not going to find in the hieroglyphics. Every other major mammal will be there, but it's a reason for that. And so all of these different animals being brought to them, there was a particular one that nobody could.
Yeah, I know I touched all that, man. I think I got up into, I was almost at 40 minutes last video. So we're gonna fast forward a little bit, man, because I know if you don't pay attention, if you have paid attention to part 2, then you know that we already covered that part. And if you didn't pay attention to part 2 and you did want to cover it, I would advise you to go back on my page and look at part 2. It's dope.
Piece of gold in the center in the black goo.
Yeah, we covered that too.
Say that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they was fair in Genesis.
We didn't cover that. We didn't cover that.
Yeah, them because of the order of the queen of heaven and earth came into human form and was shoot that red light where you want for the specific effect that you desire. That's when you're using God power. It's a gold in the center in the black goo. So we want to know what happened. You can look at the timeline of history after the queen discovered this was human, and she was irate because they couldn't ascend. So let's look.
All right, let me if just in case we didn't cover it, let me break it down what he's talking about. All right, so basically what he's talking about is the Big Head Yakub story, and all my followers of the Islamic religion, all my Muslims out there, they understand what I'm talking about when I say the big head Yakub story. There was a race that was grafted through genetic manipulation over years and years and years. When he's talking about that animal, that mammal, I ain't gonna say animal, that mammal that nobody could identify, they didn't know what it was. That's what he's talking about. You see what I'm saying? And the creator gods, they were irate. And see what he's saying in the creator gods, basically his philosophy and where he's getting it is that the creator gods are supremely feminine energy. See what I'm saying? And when you think about it, it really kind of makes sense because you've never seen a man give birth. Seen female give birth, but man can't give birth. So when you talk about creating life, it kind of gives way to the feminine side of things. You see what I'm saying? So now we have this mammal that has came up out of nowhere and nobody knows who created it because everybody has to create in power. That's how everything pretty much get here. Like when you look at it, the Bible tells you that, you know, God gave Adam reign of the earth and he gave him dominion over everything and he had the right to name everything. So in naming it, you had to be able, you created it. You see what I'm saying? They just say name. See what I'm saying? And I know I can have some scholars that some biblical scholars that come back and argue me, you know, tooth and nail, that it was granted basically by right that God created it and then gave Adam the right to name it. However, it's kind of that my argument would be, and I'm not saying that I'm right, I'm damn sure not saying that they're wrong, but my argument would be, if I created my son, ain't nobody coming through and tell me what my son name gonna be. You see what I'm saying? Like, if my wife ain't gonna let that happen. So if we create it, we name it. You see what I'm saying? And I think that's what the situation was. Like, I don't think it just was one Adam. I think it was a lot of them. I think that story is the story of how all of it really came to be. Because we ain't talking about what we talking about. We talking about something totally different, but we got to be able to see it with those eyes. We can't see it in word for word that this is what's playing out. I mean, you can see it like that, and that's fine. As long as you just being an upright person out here and you doing your thing, I'm cool with that. But for the people that have the eyes to see and the ears to hear what I'm talking about, it's up to you to look deeper. If you really want to see what's going on, you can't take everything at face value. Some people wired up to take it at face value and they're going to dismiss everything I'm talking about. Everything Roy Hayes talking about. They're going to ball it up real pretty and nice and they're going to shove it up my canned ass. And I get it. It ain't for them. But if it's for you, it's up to you to be able to do the research and break down the code, if you will. Let's proceed. This is about to get good. Good.
Look at it. The universities of Timbuktu, they had all of these various empires on the west coast of Africa. You had your Ghana, your Songhai, your Mali. Then you had your Egyptians with the highest knowledge to date that has not been able to be duplicated. Now, you got to keep this in mind because all of these people we're talking about is dark-skinned, woolly-haired people. Then you had all of your universities and trading centers here on this side in the Amur Inca, what they call America. You had your Temple of Quetzalcoatl.
Yep.
You had your Azteca pyramids, Incan and Mayan. Yep. You had your Olmecs. All these people.
He just gave you the Mayans, the Aztecs, and the Olmecs. All was here. Here. Where we at? Have you ever seen one of them Olmec statues? Them big old ass head, ain't nothing but a head. Big head. nose big. I'm talking about a big nose, boy. I'm talking about, boy, listen, boy, if I wanted the job, boy, I know a couple of cats from Central High School. If I say their name, you gonna know what type of nose I'm talking about. Shoot, I'm talking about a big nose, boy. I'm talking about, shit, you can't help but to know like these folk, them folk. They old. Like you had all, I'm talking about, now those heads don't get it twisted what I'm talking about. Those heads ain't over here in the North America. Like, you know what I mean? But I don't think there is anyway. But anyway, you know what I'm talking about. These are ancient skulls, ancient statues that they done made. I said skulls, not skulls. Head. They got helmets on them with the big nose. They look like black folk. To keep it on 100, but they old. I'm talking about real old. And they are megalithic. That means they can't even be moved. They so heavy. Ain't no machinery that can move them. Yeah. They old. Quetzalcoatl. That's the Mexican god or a Mexican god. You see what I'm saying? Like the plumed serpent. That's what it was. The plumed serpent. It's a dragon. You know, that type of, you know, all that right there, that was already over here. That predated anybody coming over here. That let you know that it was certain thing that was already over here. It was already systems at play before anybody came over here talking about 1492. There was already a well-oiled machine and it was already operating as such. That's what he getting to. But I'm going to let him tell you, because he get a whole lot deeper than me. He on the deep end, cuz.
People were about my complexion or darker. Some had straight hair, some had woolly hair. Now, these people are the top. There's no scientist that can rival them today, and we've sending spaceships into space, so they tell us. Now, they can't reproduce the Egyptian or Mayan pyramids. Now, we're not under African, nor Asian, nor Dravidian rule of India, nor are we under the Incan rule of what they call the Americas. We're not under that rule. We can only get so far right now. Where we at? They splitting atoms, child's play. They're encoding nanotechnology onto soy product, child's play. In the world of the gods, you are not a true scientist until you can encode a ray of light with your mind, shoot that ray of light where you want for the specific effect that you desire. That's when you're using God power. If you can't do that, then you're just a human scientist aspiring for God abilities. So we get to a point in the history books. Now remember, the history is written by the victor. But if you step back, you can still see it in your face because they can't totally conceal it for you, which is another rule, number 3, that any deception laid down by the ruler gods, the opportunity of discovery must be present with the deception. So even in the deception, that's why you see Paul say that when I try to do good, evil is present with me also. Because the opportunity to discover the righteousness has to even be present when the corruption takes place. So the story of Alexander begins to fall into where we are now. Because if you're going to have your children afflicted in a foreign land for 400 years, it had to be for a reason. It had to be for a reason. Nobody's telling you the reason. Why did Abraham's children need to be afflicted in a foreign land for 400 years? Here it is. Watch Alexander. Who was Alexander and how did he get to power? Right? Who was Alexander the Great and how did he get to power? Well, first you got to understand where Greece came from. Egyptian priests went to the island of Crete and set up educational network. They set up the first schools in Europe because Europeans didn't have schools because there was nobody that dwelled there in mass and that required education until they discovered what the Nation of Islam called Yakub's grafted devil, which was the Babylonian transgression on earth, because they done it without permission and they didn't perform the rites. This is how they know how to follow the rules now, because all of this came from them not performing the rites. Now, many of them, because of the order of the Queen of Heaven and Earth, came into human form and was stripped of their memory of the transgression so that they wouldn't rebel against the just redemption. But what was the redemption of the transgression of the Cadmon? Now, in the story I did on Lilith, when I was telling y'all about Lilith and then she was being the first consort, it tells you what that transgression, when they created him as a golem, and it goes into more detail. And so, because of this, the genetics were out of order. They were slightly off. Now, in the Old Testament, where you see this jealous God that they call Yahweh, in the Babylonian pantheon, that's Enlil. He the one with the booming voice. That's why his name is Enlil.
All right, so just picking up where he at right now, I guess basically, if you're not in tune with the Sumerian tablets, or if you're not in tune with Zechariah's stitching, I think you won't be in tune with what Rod Hayes is talking about right now. The Sumerian tablets, which were what is it? I guess I used the word decoded by Zechariah stitching, allegedly. They basically break down this story of the Anunnaki and this planet or ship that's called Nibiru, that has an orbit of 3,600 years. The leader of this ship is Anu, which Anunnaki. And I guess Anu would be sky god or heaven god, and because the Anunnaki means those from heaven that came to earth, basically. I might have butchered that, but that's basically what it means. From heaven that came to earth. Those from heaven that came to earth. Anu, had children. Enlil was one of his sons. Enki was the other son. It wasn't the Nana. It was he gonna say it. I forget her name, but he had a sister, and the sister, or it might have been Il Nana. I don't think it was, but it was something similar. But she was the sister. Alright. So it was two boys and a female, and all of them had their role. Enki was a creator god. He was a chief scientist. Enlil was the sky god. He was the warrior. He's the warlord. And damn, I had near. Damn, I had it on the tip of my tongue. I'm trying to get her name, but anyway, she was also a chief creator god. You see what I'm saying? Like, they were basically the scientists, and Enlil was the warlord. He oversaw the whole situation to make sure that it goes how it's supposed to go. Enlil was pretty much, what are you doing over there, sir? Enlil was more so the overseer. Enki was the scientist to make everything happen. And And his sister was too. The beef came when they had to create the species of worker beings or slaves. Enlil didn't care for them. Inky and his sister did, because they birthed them. They made them. And that's how you get this age-old beef. That's according to the Sumerian tablets. That's that philosophy. So don't get it twisted. Like I'm saying, okay, that's law, this, that, and the third. I ain't saying that, because you gotta be it's all depending on where your mind is. I ain't selling this on nobody. Alright? I'm just saying that you can hit the Google machine and you can research this, and that's going to be the information that you get. So if it sounds like it's something that's down your wheelhouse, by all means, Google it and go get you some more information. Zechariah Stitching, the Sumerian tablets, the Anunnaki, Nibiru, Enlil, Enki, like this, the information's out here. I promise you can type in ENKI and some shit gonna pop up and tell you something about it. Ain't no secret. So, but let me let Rod Hayes continue.
Lil mean voice, the booming voice. En mean Lord. He is the Lord of the booming voice, which says voice of many waters. But he was the ranking earth God according to the order of the Most High that they call Anu. That's the prime ruler God. He the one that they call the Most High. He the one, whether you're a good being or a bad being, it doesn't matter as long as your intent is pure. He will not misjudge you. He will only judge you according to your responsibilities in the path you choose.
Stop. As long as your intent is pure. See, the intent about anything that you're doing is the key. Some of us might be put in some terrible situations. But what is your intent in that situation? Why are you forced in this situation into doing what you have to do at that moment? It's the intent. So when we talk about what's good and what's bad, or what's right and what's wrong, all that's subjective. It all depends on the intent. The key comes in with your morality. Because if you don't have a moral compass, you have nothing. And that's what I can't deal with. I can't deal with you jokers that don't have a moral compass. The ones that'll do anything, whatever it takes. Man, I can't never get that phrase out my head, man. Do you know how many times I heard that phrase when I was signed with them folks over there? You got to be willing to do whatever it takes. The hell you mean whatever it takes? Like, bro, no, I got morals, man. I got ethics. Bro. I got limitations. I got bounds. And I pay my dues.
So he don't really judge you. He let you judge yourself. He just says, so be it. And then it's all taken care of according to what your transgression was. And so when the human that they call the Kadmon, the Adam Kadmon, the false Adam, was created, Anu came down because of the conflict it created was so bad that he had to physically leave what you call the highest heaven, which they call in the Babylonian times, they call it Nibiru, the high seat. A Nibiru on earth, we call it the highest heaven, but it's called the high seat. It's the ruler seat of this galaxy. It's the high seat. He is the supreme ruler of the galactic council of the 72 elders, of which my number being 50. I'm the 50th of the 72 elders, being the crown prince of heaven and earth. Soon as mama come down.
Hold on, because he sidebarring a little bit, so I'm going to intervene before he get too far. But he just said that Anu had when the Ad Kaman the other Adam, not the original one. He used the word false. They're going to use the other creation. He came down. What that mean? He was on earth. Now, go back to Genesis and think about the scripture when it said God walked with them through the garden. And they heard God walking through the garden. And he had to ask the question. Not the omnipotent, but he had to ask the question like, hey, where y'all at? Yo, where y'all at? Now they gotta come from behind the bush talking about, man, we were hired, man, we naked. But how you know you naked? That's how you know they fucked up. Cause he know they didn't supposed to know that they were naked. That's how he knew, like, damn. But somebody done backdoored me. And they done gave this creation that what I didn't want them to have. And that's what created the big beef between Enlil and Enki. According to the story. All right, so let's proceed.
Then I get that seat. So these beings, Anu, Enlil, and Enki following the orders of Enlil, don't agree, but he's outright. He have to follow the orders, and he don't want to suffer the wrath of the transgression of the gods.
That's it. You got to follow orders. When you understand what's going on, it's like, all right, this is what it is. So, cool, we're going to do it like this. However, it'll always be some play. It's always that gray area between this and that. It's always going to be that. If you don't think it's some gray area in between when a decision is made and it has to be carried out down on the next level, if you don't think that gray area exists, you are naive. I'm sorry, but it's going to always exist. And the best thing that you can do, especially if you are a leader, is understand that and try to understand that gray area. That's what I do. I try to understand the gray area. See, I'm not what I say is law type of guy and we're going to move as such, this, that, and the third. No, man, I'm dealing with a whole bunch of egos. So it's going to be a lot of gray area. You just got to make your out of bounds marker acceptable to you in what you're doing. So the in playing field, whether it's 45 yards across or 65 yards across, whether you say your sideline is if they touch the out of bound marker or they got a 4-inch radius out of bounds or a 4-inch grace measure out of bounds. You see what I'm saying? It all depends on you. But digressing.
And so he did create what was not supposed to be created again. Because he did it the first time, they washed him away. This is why he didn't want to do it a second time. And this is where they say that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they was fair in Genesis. What happened then, and it said they went in and they took all of which they had chosen.
Hold on, he just said the first time they washed them away. So the first creation of man, they washed them away. But somebody came and told Noah, build a damn boat, man, and get every goddamn thing you can, 2 of each, male and female, and get it on their boat. What told Noah to do that? Seemed to me it would be the person that created the creation. Especially if the big brother on some tripping shit, like, man, just destroy all of it, tear it all up. I hate I made this shit. That basically how God was back when he said he looked down, he was like, man, I hate I made all this shit, man. Look. Run it. Open the goddamn floodgate, run this shit, man. I destroy it all, man. We're gonna start over. If we even start over. Shit, we shouldn't even did this shit. But then the brother that did it was like, man, shit, I can't. Everything, man, I just created these. Boy, I love these things. Like, no, I get what you saying. I can't knock you, but it's somebody down here that worthy. Like, they really get it. Noah, this motherfucker really get it. Let me go on down here to Noah. Hey, man, listen. Boy, my brother done lost his goddamn mind. He finna take it. He finna destroy it all. He finna flood this bitch. You need to build a boat and get the DNA from everything. Everything, every animal that's around you, you need to get the DNA off of everything, man. And build a boat now, I'm telling you. Noah, like how I'm gonna build a boat. Man, nigga, don't worry about how you gonna build a boat. I'm gonna give you everything you need. Nigga, just build a boat. And he built the boat. Just think about it just how I told you. Don't that make sense? I'm just keeping it 100. If you looking at it in this aspect as far as how he telling you, like, it doesn't matter how you get it as long as you get it. See, Stitching, the way he wrote it or the way he told it, it gave you basically individuals or at least entities that you could put this behind. So now we ain't talking about energy or whatnot. And even if you're talking about energy, you still got to talk about people. Because how would this energy be disseminated if it wasn't for the people? You follow me? So something took place like that, especially with the flood, because that's documented anywhere you go, you hear about this. Anywhere you go, they document the flood, cuz. I'm just keeping the one, like, everything else might not add up as far as how history is told, but that flood, that's a worldwide event. Let's go.
Because of that transgression, and this DNA has to be synced before the ascension. The ascension happens in the Aquarian age. Everybody has to have the right to ascend, or we got to go back and do it all over from the beginning of the Piscean age.
We're in Aquarian now.
It will be harsher if we have to do it all over. Okay, so now what happened? This genetics has to be cleaned up. Now, there's on YouTube a debate with Dr. Francis Cress Welsing and a eugenicist. The eugenics philosophy is to destroy all of the humans that they call unfit breeders. Look at the word eugenics, and right in the word eugenics, you'll see that it's Ea, which is the EU, because under the Grimm's Law of Grammar, of all vowels are interchangeable. The Ea, EA, which is Enki, and genics or genes. Enki's role is to purify the genetic pool that he corrupted using the science of eugenics. Now watch what Francis tell him. All Caucasians are predisposed to a very specific disease of the central nervous system. They cannot assimilate that piece of gold into becoming the serpent fire. They cannot use too much of the silver cord either. The silver cord is raw wisdom. So they can separate the eternal life from the eternal wisdom. And this is why you have your Kundalini with the two serpents. One side of the DNA is wise. The other one is eternal.
Now, what are you talking about with the separating the DNA with the two Kundalini serpents? If you look at your well, I ain't gonna say your, but if you look at the medical sign in a lot of districts, I think I've probably seen some of them with one snake, but I know I done seen some of them with two snakes. And the two snakes wind up, it's a rod in the middle, a staff in the middle, and it's two snakes winding up the staff. And they end up looking head to head. Or it might just be one snake winding up the staff. But I'm pretty sure it's two snakes. That's what he's talking about. That symbolism is representative of your Kundalini energy, and that is the medical sign, the sign for medical. What the medical field has become now is no different than your trap house. Point blank, period. I'm sorry, you might think I'm playing, you might think I'm bullshitting, but if you go to the doctor right now and something ailing you, what the doctor gonna do? He gonna send you to the pharmacy to get some medication. So if you run across Junebug on the block and he need a hit, and you looking at him and you can tell something wrong, something ailing him too, ain't it? And you are the fix. You're no different than the pharmacy. They're doing nothing no different than what the average drug dealer does, bro. Just keeping it 100. The only difference is they are legal and you are not. Period. Now, I ain't saying that you're justified in doing what you're doing now. Don't get it twisted. I ain't saying that by far. Because all of it is a problem. The only thing that I'm saying is that y'all the same. So they shouldn't be, if you can't get no pass, they shouldn't be getting a pass either. But they get a pass because they made it legal in their system. Not our system, but their system. See, in our system, marijuana legal than a motherfucker. Black folk like marijuana. Not all black folk, but the majority of us. And even the ones that can't goddamn do it because of their job. That's the only reason that they don't. I can guarantee you, man, if it wasn't for the jobs that a lot of our folk got, the motherfucker be smoking, cuz. I'm sorry, bro. If it wasn't for the job, they'll be smoking. Straight up. So when you start looking at it at that standpoint, it's like it hit different. But before I get too far out of sidebarring out the way, let's continue with Rod.
Wisdom in eternity, it's the balance of nature is actually all it's saying. And so you see your Kundalini rising or your Kundalini going around the staff. That is actually your DNA helix. The staff is called the middle pillar, which is a sign of your spine. So when the light comes down the middle pillar, if your silver and gold lights are not both what they call liberated, they have to be liberated. This is the severing of the silver cord and the awakening of the gold. This is the marriage of the divine masculine, the gold, and the divine feminine, the freed female energy that is trapped. The freed female energy is the silver cord. How did they get it? Now, while they were doing their dirt in Babylon, the dancers was reading something called a Tree of Life in South Africa. They called it Iwas. And I know for a lot of the TV buffs that's going to sound real familiar, or movie buffs, I should say, because the movie Avatar. In the movie Avatar, they are actually telling you the story. When they call it unobtainium, that's the actual gold. Unobtainium is the gold. The Avatar was the artificial Kadmon that trapped souls.
Boy, he just dropped the heavy jewel. He just told you the movie Avatar is it basically giving you the history of what took place. And that's my opinion. That's my philosophy. I could be proved wrong later on. And I mean, if somebody want to come prove me wrong, cool. You know what I mean? We can have the debates. We can talk about it. I'm fine with that. I'm not saying that what I'm saying is the gospel. I'm just saying that with the research that I've done and the way I'm looking at it and the information that I'm downloading from the ancestors and from the Most High, I'm looking at it from an understanding of, well, like, Avatar is telling the real, true story. Even with them cutting down all the big trees. How is it that we still have the redwoods in California, but nowhere else we have trees that big? But you got plateaus. And if you look at a plateau carefully, even certain mountain ranges, it look like tree stumps. Big old ass petrified wood tree stumps. That don't seem strange to you? That would have looked like to me. But, I digress. Then you look at the beings on the movie Avatar. They wore beads, they wore crystals, they had dreads, they were blue, they were big, they were tall, they was in unison. Like the way they communicated wasn't the way that everybody communicated. And they were invaded by technology. See, I always tell you, it's more truth in your fictional movies that they spend damn near $100 million in making than it is in the little bullshit ass books that they print up. That they don't print, they can print up for $1 a person. Seriously speaking. Because the rule on this plane is truth has to be told. You know why? Do you know why? Even though a person, this is why you'll never get away with a lie. Because this is a free will place. So you always hear that term, free will. God gave you free will. He gave you will to choose. He gave you this. But if you just remove yourself from what you're saying when you say it and understand it for what it is, you understand that truth has to be told. They're giving you two sides to choose from. They give you their dictation, and they take dictation out of dictation, and they just give you diction. See how etymology works? But it's truly dictation. They give you their dictation of what it is and what it's supposed to be. And then they give you an alternative view, and they call it fiction or science fiction, and tell you that that can never happen. That's how you were programmed and you were wired up. Now, they are depending on you being so naive to the point to where when they come out and say certain things, you still won't believe it. That's what we dealing with right now. There's more truth in the movies that they give you than it is in your history book. And I'm not telling you not to make your child go to school. I'm not telling you not to let your child learn. That is the system that you in. And until the system changes, they need to get the best education that this system allows them to have. However, it is up to you to instill in them certain things that will make them go out and chase ain't the word, but search for truth in hopes that they will find themselves in the arena that they will get truth in order for your future generation to prosper. It is what it is. It's a mean game out here we playing, people. And like, one of my mentors told me, once you get to a certain level, this is where the real work begins. Come from behind them walls and let your light shine for the world to see. It's not a game. It's real deal Holyfield. And me personally, if I had to say, if I had to choose, I'd rather be at the table than on the menu. Period. So they're gonna conclude part 3, man. We halfway into the video right now. I think we got less than an hour to go on that one particular video. I was gonna go for the long haul, but once I seen we was at over an hour, and now I'm at an hour and 15 minutes. I don't want to waste nobody's attention span. You know what I mean? Like, not to that degree, because everybody don't like when folks plugging in on video. They just want to actually hear Roy outright. But me personally, I have to intervene because spirit's moving me to intervene, and I gotta break certain things down that I feel like I need to break down. You see what I'm saying? So hopefully, you know, the way I'm doing it, it works. If it don't, it don't. You know, I'm pretty sure that I hear from some of you outspoken people if it don't. You know what I mean? But I'm cool with that. You know what I mean? We all build and we learn it. Ain't no hard feeling. I mean, iron sharpens iron where I'm from. But with all that being said, man, I'm going to call it a night, man. I'm kind of wore out. You know, I went hard in the gym today. So I'm going to get me some rest. But that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Daniel Diagnosis. I am your host, Keith Daniel. Until we meet again, good people. Peace.